another session of Property Talk Live. For today's topic, it's actually something very simple, something that we all have had in mind all this while, which is you cannot afford a house and it's not your fault. But here is why. So let me say something honestly, quickly. If you feel like you can't afford a house right now, and you've not asked yourself why can you not afford it or how can you afford it, it might actually be your fault. And like I said, it's actually not your fault that you can't afford it, but the fact that you do not have that mindset of asking yourself how you can afford it, then it becomes your fault. So, and I really need you to listen to this because this session could really, really change your mindset and how you think about things. Because most people are hardworking, they are earning money, they are trying to save to get what they want. But somehow, property ownership keeps moving further away. It keeps moving away. Mm, so you're planning something and then something else comes up and it suddenly change your entire plan. Then you continue to ask yourself, why? Why is this happening? Or why is it so? The reason is not far-fetched. It's just because the system and your mindset and the information that you have about that plan of getting a property is entirely wrong. They are not in alignment at all. They are not aligning. So today I'm going to break it down for you step by step, bit by bit. We're going to talk about the type of mindset that you should have when you really, really want to be able to afford that dream house that you want to, that's your dream house, the house you want to get. So, first of all, we are going to start with the real problem. Let's start from here. Let's talk about the real problem, what many people think of, or what comes to most people's mind when it comes to buying a house. The problem is not just money. The problem is not because you don't have money. The problem is how you are thinking about money, not because you do not have money, but what you think about money. So, because most people believe that if I save enough money, I will eventually be able to afford a house. If I save enough money, I will eventually be able to buy that land, buy the property that I want to buy. But here's the truth actually. While you're saving money to get that house, the market is moving. But the market always will not wait for anybody. And then prices are increasing faster than your savings. You have a fixed savings, or maybe not a fixed savings, but I can still tell you that the prices of that market you want to buy is moving way faster than your savings. Because even though you are disciplined, you are you are focused on that amount that you're saving, and then you're not shaking, you're not having doubts, you're still falling behind. And before you know it will become very, very frustrating. But that's the reality. So that's why I said it's not about money, but about what is actually about what you think about money. And if you do not understand this, nothing will change. If you do not know those things that you're supposed to look out for, those things you're supposed to know, nothing will change. And you continue to feel like the system is against you. So why do you think why would you feel like the system is against you? First of all, let's talk about that system. No one teaches real estate properly. Nobody will sit you down and tell you, oh, this is how you save money, this is where you go to, this is where you start from, this is what you're going to do, or this is what you're supposed to look out for before you buy a property or do anything at all in real estate. You're just told to go to school, get a job, earn money, save money, and then buy land, buy properties. By the time you start buying one, two, or three properties, you're building your portfolio. But they do not and that's just the guideline that they've given to you. But no one truly teaches you how to invest, especially when it comes to real estate. No one teaches you how to enter real estate smartly. People are so that's why most people are operating blindly. And that is why I prepared this live session where we always talk about these reasons, this problem, and how to solve this problem. Because in real estate, blindness is expensive. If you're ignorant, if you do not know anything about real estate and you just want to venture into real estate just like that, you're going to be making so many mistakes because you're going to be taking so many risks that you're going to regret. And one of the biggest mistake people make, let's go deeper into that. One of the biggest mistake people make when it comes to investing in real estate is, like I've always said, waiting too long, waiting too long to invest, waiting too long to start, waiting too long to buy a property, thinking that you need big money, a certain amount before you can buy real estate, before you can invest in real estate. And sometimes actually the fear of scam, the fear of being cheated or fraud actually. And then another mistake is no proper guidance. There's no there's no there's no proper rules or regulation that you know that you're supposed to follow. No proper guidelines, nobody to put you through and all of that. And then another mistake is following the crowd, going to get a property because somebody said, oh, this property is here, it costs so amount, I'm going to buy it, I like the property. Then you feel like, oh, let me buy it since that's how it is. And these mistakes are what keeps people stuck for years. So what do smart people do differently? Because you're listening to this podcast right now, you already have an edge over other people. Yes, because some of the things that they do not know, you have the opportunity to learn from our podcast, from our session, and then you will not be making that mistakes which other people are going to be making. So this is where everything changes. Like I said, smart people do not wait. They do not wait for the market to rise before they invest. They know the exact time to invest. And then they know when exactly to pull out. They know what to do. And trust me, they do not start with big investments. They start small. So that money that you think is too small for you to invest, or it's too small for you to start buying real estate, or it's too small for you to even subscribe for an off-plan development at all, is actually what smart investors use to start. That's what they use to invest at first, because they understand that real estate is a long-term game. It's not something you invest today and expect to get profit next month. No, it doesn't work that way. So instead of going in with big money all at once, they start with small installment plan. Like I said, off-plan properties. Off-plan properties is going to be a very big advantage for people that are starting to invest in real estate, because you need to focus on growth areas, not areas that are developed. And those areas that are still developing, most of the properties that you find there are off-plan properties. People that own properties in those places, they did not buy it at once. They paid little by little in installments. They do not just bring the money and then subscribe for it all at once. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, so let me paint a picture for you so that you understand what I'm trying to talk about exactly. If there are two people that are earning the same salary, there are two people earning the same salary in a company, or probably different company. Okay, then an opportunity comes up to invest in real estate or to buy real estate. There's an opportunity for you to pay. There's an opportunity for you to pay a certain amount as deposit, and then you continue to pay the rest as time goes on. But you are waiting because you want to gather all the money to invest, and then the other person decides to like start paying in installments bit by bit. The other person starts small. Let's move it forward to 5 years later. Before you know it, that person would have paid the entire amount while you're still stuck in saving up so that you can afford everything at once. And at the same time, you will not be buying that property for the value in which the other person bought it. Why? Because they subscribed already. They've agreed to a particular amount. I know they have to start paying small, small. But you are just saving on your own part, waiting to get the total amount to buy that property. And by the time that property is completed, it will not be the same amount that you were told before. And that's a strategy in which developers and people that invest in real estate make. That's the strategy they use to make their money. That's how they keep building their real estate portfolio bit by bit. But before you know, they've subscribed to that point, they finish subscribing to that, but they've made the entire payment. They can decide to leave there or decide to use it, shortlist it. And then before you know, they start getting their annual income. From there, they move on to continue to build their portfolio in real estate. they can subscribe for another property and then use the money they're getting from this rental and the rental income from this property to continue to buy and to continue to pay for the other new plan property. So, like I said, it's not the only reason why you think you cannot the only reason why you cannot afford a house or a home is actually because you only think that you cannot afford it, but you've never for once think about asking yourself or doing your research to ask people how you can actually afford it. Yeah, because the most important fact is for you to take the step. And I know the first step is very, very hard to take. Investing is very, very hard. It takes a lot of courage for you to make decisions to invest in real estate. But the only way we know you can own a property, especially here in Nigeria and here in Lagos at large, is by starting small. Because before you know it, so there are in fact the number of areas that are developing is actually less than the number of developed area we have in Lagos. And that is why rental demands keep increasing and the rent price keeps increasing here in Lagos. That's because most areas are fully developed and the areas that are still developing, that are upcoming, they are very, very little. So you can take this as your sign, as an opportunity to go and invest in that property that you've been eyeing, that one that is still in developing area. You can take this as an opportunity to go there, pay for that property. You do not need to pay in full. I'm sure any property that they are just building, they have an installment plan for people that are willing to take that property. So that's why I said you can actually start small. There's a particular percentage for you to pay in the beginning, and then from there you continue to pay the rest instrumentally. Months you continue to pay per month, and that the payment actually depends on the um construction time. Yes, because they have a completion date. They have a time that they schedule to complete that property, and that's how long your installment plan will be. Some property might take 12 months to be completed. Some might take 24 months. Some take 3 years, and like that, and like that. So, the longer the construction plan, the longer your investment plan. So once you're able to like pay a particular percentage in the beginning, the rest will not be very hard to complete. And then before you know it, you fully subscribe for the property. And even if you want to resell that property at the time they finish completion, you will be gaining your um your profits already, because the resale value is going to be very, very higher than what you bought it for. And before you know it, you already gain your profit. So, like I said, you should try to change your mindset from thinking that you cannot afford a home because you do not have enough money yet, to thinking about how you can actually afford it. You should consult people, consult professionals, real estate professionals, agents that are certified. They have they know what to they are the ones that can put you through. They'll be the ones to tell you the properties that you can invest in, the plans that you can go for, and things that you can actually do that is going to like make your investment process very, very easy. So if you take one thing from this session at all, I would like you to share it with somebody else who has been thinking of owning a property but they feel like they cannot afford it. So this session will actually make them think about changing their approach when it comes to investing in real estate. So thank you very much for joining us today. Um, of course, every Thursday is when we usually hold our session on Property Talk Live. So see you guys next Thursday. Bye.